Story 1. You don't need to stop feeling lonely or depressed. That's extremely normal, and there is nothing wrong with wanting a partner to share a life with. However, you should strive to become a person who you think a special someone in the future would want to date. Would you wish to date someone who feels lonely and depressed, or someone who appears confident in who they are and doesn't really care? Notice how I said appearing instead of is confident. My point is that the pain of feeling lonely may never go away, but you can do your best to improve yourself as much as possible to the point where the special person you're waiting for would show up when you least expect it. I've asked out many girls in the past and only 3 said yes, but the dates didn't work out. Meanwhile, I've spent time on dating apps trying to make something long-term work, but so far nothing solid has happened. One even agreed to date during the COVID-19 pandemic. I expressed concerns about health, and she actually convinced me it would be okay. Then she said she would let me know when she was back from a family trip so we could meet for our date. I texted her, and she revealed she had been back for an entire week. She was hoping I would forget, but I didn't. Of course, I felt hurt and betrayed, but now I feel even worse for anybody in the future whom she takes advantage of in terms of time and emotional investment. In the meantime, I'm trying my best to keep myself fit, learn new hobbies that may help me in the future, learning Japanese right now, and refine my current hobbies of video editing and graphic design, as well as teaching people online fighting games that I love. One thing I am confident in is that if I drop all my standards out the window, such as not caring about looks, or if they're drug addicts or overall a terrible person, I believe I can get a girlfriend by next week with no problem if I said yes to everyone who swiped right on me on a dating app. Are your standards somewhat high like my own? If yes, then you're probably interested in the most attractive ones, both in looks and personality. That's normal and good to stick to. However, you must uphold yourself to an equivalent standard. The good thing is, working on yourself takes time and is rather distracting. So you'll spend more time progressing and seeing growth in yourself physically as well as mentally as a person. You're worth investing time in as much as it is worth investing time into getting a relationship. You don't need six-pack abs in a month. Just take tiny steps at least once a week. It could be walking straighter, choosing a healthier meal once in a while, getting back into a hobby you liked as a kid but stopped because school got in the way, stepping out of your comfort zone by smiling more when talking to a cashier, or complimenting a stranger and making their day, then seeing their faces light up since the world is tough and the bar for kindness is incredibly low. Do anything that makes you or the world a better place. You should feel more accomplished as a whole about yourself compared to your past self, whether after a day or even a year. If you keep that going, that's the best life to live since you're always moving forward. A person will see that type of amazing value in you as you do in the future. But if you keep tallying the days until they come, you'll never get out of that mental prison. I hope this helps. I wish I told myself this years ago as a teenager. Story 2. Well, I thought I would find something here to help me with a similar situation or thought path. Now I feel way worse. Not only am I apparently more than twice the original poster's age and feel the same way, but everybody's advice is like, yeah, bro, that's normal. You'll probably have it figured out by the time you're 25 or whatever. 25? That was more than 15 years ago for me. Story 3. My advice is, when you are okay not being in a relationship, you are young. Build a life that connects you to friends and family. Enjoy that life and just keep asking women you are interested in out, but enjoy your life regardless of their answer. Relationships can be great, or they can be horrible. They are not some magic make-you-happy formula like they show on TV and in movies. There is a reason all the movies end when she gets the prince. They do not show the part 3 years later when she is alone and miserable in the castle while the prince is out having sex with the evil but attractive stepsister. Build a good life and a good relationship will come. Story 4. I sometimes have such moments. Learning a bit of meditation helped me. Instead of distracting yourself and trying to deny your feelings, it is best in my experience to take a 10-second break, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and acknowledge the feelings you are having. Story 5. Hey man, I've been there too. You are not the only one who's experiencing this, and I am sure that there are worse cases. I know that there is no way you can avoid this topic. Whenever I heard something about this topic, I said to myself, oh man, I want it too, right now. But then I realized that it takes time to find someone willing to experience this stuff with you, so don't try to speed things up. My main advice is to focus on yourself and try to be the better version of yourself. Try to socialize, and eventually he or she will show up. Story 6. Sex, romance, and intimacy, while great, aren't the be-all and end-all of life. Give the brain something to focus on, get some skills, earn some money, and work to improve yourself wherever you can. Story 7. I think given the situation the world is facing, it's pretty normal to need and want that stability and the positives that come with being in a loving and intimate relationship. I'm not going to lie or insult your intelligence by pretending those things aren't important, particularly in times like these. Human touch is extremely important for our health and well-being, so your feelings definitely aren't trivial. Although the feelings probably won't go away, it's healthy to admit them and talk about it. I don't know what country you're in, but I'm guessing your ability to meet new people might be hindered by factors out of your control. The things you can control, though, are the things you should focus on. What's something you enjoy doing? Who is someone you can talk to about your feelings? Are there any hobbies you could take up? A lot of the time, the things you're craving come as a side effect of broadening your life and trying new things. It might be worth your time to think of new things you could try when the world becomes a bit more sane. Story 8. Oh God, this is a tough thing to deal with. I just got friend-zoned by a girl I work with and live by after we had a couple of dates. I see her every day, and I still have mild feelings of attraction for her. The initial wave has worn off, I would say. Up until about a week ago, she was frequently on my mind, and every time I saw her, I got this sick feeling in my stomach, like the feeling of having to jump into cold water from a high dive. Ever since I got rejected by her, I feel kind of bitter when I see romance, people in relationships, and so on. The thing is that feeling will never go away until you sort yourself out. I recommend therapy. I just scheduled an appointment with a new counselor for the first time in months. That lonely, depressed feeling you get is really going to work against you when you start dating someone again. You might feel like you need a girl in your life, but you have to change your perspective on that because it isn't a need, it's a want. Ask yourself why you want it and really dig deep. I'm actually working on this myself right now. Story 9. There's a lot of stuff flying around here, some good, some vague, some not at all helpful. Here are some things I used to do when I was still in the dating game. I would look at myself in the mirror and ask myself, would I date me? If the answer was no, I'd list the reasons I didn't like and work on those. One of the things listed was my fitness, so I went to the gym and started running a 5-kilometer at least once a week. I'd watch fitness videos and read fitness blogs. I looked at my fashion, got clothes that fit properly, and got clothes I already had tailored to fit better. I joined groups on Meetup and Facebook for activities I like without the pretext of dating. I joined a book club, a movie group, a running group, tried a Dungeons and Dragons group, and a bar hopping group. I exposed myself to more people. I went to bars, movies, and social gatherings. Some people were awful and some were really nice. I even have friends from all those years ago. Learn about yourself. Figure out what you like, what you enjoy, and what makes you as an individual happy. Someone else will not make you happy, nor will they fix your problems. If you think you will stop masturbating because you will be having sex all the time, you are dead wrong. If you think a girl will solve your problems, you are wrong. No matter how good and awesome she is, she will only add to the current problems you are having. You need to be in a healthy state of mind before you can have a healthy relationship. And one other piece of advice. Dating is more about figuring out what you don't like than it is about figuring out what you do like. When I married my wife, we talked about the biggest things in the relationship early. Do we want kids? How do we view religion, smoking, cheating, and most importantly, what do we want from each other? All that little stuff we learned along the way. We knew what we didn't want and what we wouldn't stand by. We are constantly learning new things about each other and just had our 5-year anniversary yesterday. Story 10. Wow, there are a lot of invalidating responses to your question. I think it indicates you have tapped into a question that a lot of people have. That feeling of loneliness is so overwhelming. I have felt it too. That is because we are biologically and naturally wired for connection on all levels, including intimacy. I think it is one of the most powerful instincts we humans possess or which possesses us. I do not have an answer for how to stop the terrible feeling. I would actually encourage you to feel the feeling and express it as much as you can, maybe by writing about it, or embrace it by researching the science behind the human sex drive. That is what I did at 17. I agree with the comments suggesting you engage in activities that help you feel a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment in yourself. I would add, develop your relationships in general and get really skilled at being a good friend, child, grandchild, student, bandmate, etc. In whatever way you are in a relationship with others, work to value and respect yourself. That way, you can work on the foundation of your future romance, so when someone wants to get closer to you, you will be more ready. I know from experience from being on the other side of the romance and sexual encounter that there is a huge difference between men who have sex and men who are comfortable enough with themselves to have intimacy. You can practice intimacy in non-romantic ways before you arrive at a romantic encounter. Story 11. I have the same thing, and it got so deeply ingrained in my mind when I was single that I still feel that way, even though I am currently getting romance, sex, and intimacy. Story 12. I used to feel the exact same way when my friends talked about all the girls they were talking with during quarantine. I felt lonely and as if I was doing something wrong. But then I just realized that you don't have to always be talking or flirting with someone. It's okay to be by yourself. I don't know if it's the same thing for you, but maybe this helps. Story 13. Man, when I was your age, I was the same. All I can say is it gets better. And why does it get better? Because as you grow up, you understand that there are more important things in life than that. It's hard to see it when all you have going on is school and maybe some other stuff. Also, as you grow up, you learn to accept things as they are, and there is nothing wrong with that. You are not missing out on anything magical and extra special like all the movies show. Maybe I'm too stoic, but that's how I see it. Story 14. Rather than run away from that discomfort, I recommend sitting in it for a bit. You will realize that yes, it is uncomfortable, but it's not that bad. You will see that even though you feel like crap, you are still fine. You are okay. You are breathing, living, feeling, experiencing. Relationships will come eventually. Let them happen when they happen. You will remember that even though you had this period of sadness and loneliness, you made it through fine. Story 15. Think about all the messed up relationships that people have because of being with the wrong person. There are so many people around us that prefer to be alone but can't or don't know how to get out of their relationships. Also, sex is not always as great as it sounds and feels in your brain. Story 16. Well, what I do is I just take those feelings, roll them up into a ball and stuff them way down. Just push them down and keep pushing them all the way down until one day they form a brain tumor or aneurysm or stroke that finally brings me the sweet release of death. You don't actually need to feel anything. You just have to let yourself go numb and accept the inevitable consequences. Disclaimer. I really don't recommend this method. If you've ever been afraid of hell, find another path than the one I've laid out. Story 17. I did not see this mentioned, and I am not sure if it is part of your problem, but I have one thing you could try. Try to modify your inner dialogue. Consciously try to eliminate the negative self-talk. If you find yourself seeing couples and thinking things like, I am going to be alone forever, I do not deserve love, or I am not good enough, stop yourself and turn it around. Come up with your own positive thoughts. When you think of something like those negative ones, stop yourself and say, I deserve love. I will be my best self with or without a girlfriend. I am worth things you want. If you think it will help, you might try writing and saying daily affirmations. It might feel silly at first, but it could help shift your mood and slow down the negative thoughts. Think about things you like about yourself. Think about things you want from life. They do not have to focus on a relationship. Honestly, I think it is better if they are not all about that. Turn them into positive statements about yourself and say them out loud to yourself. Story 18. 3 years single. I've just kind of accepted now that I would like intimacy, but it looks like too much work to get back into a relationship and generally care enough about someone else to want to do fun stuff with them. I've been approached and asked if I want it, but I immediately get anxious and think, what if I think I want this? But I start doing it and I realize it's boring,